All right, we are back. And what better place to be back than Norwich, who is bottom of the table sitting on 10 points, but they are hosting Arsenal this Boxing Day at 10 a.m. Arsenal sitting fourth at 32 points, and besides Manchester City, arguably the hottest team in the league. Norwich is plus 650. The draw is plus 380. Arsenal is minus 240. Norwich with plus 1.5 goals is minus 150. Arsenal is plus 130 on the spread. So I know you have a lot of Arsenal thoughts, so I'm going to clear out and let you have a go here in just a minute. Despite you somehow winning the last time Norwich was a plus 1.5 versus a Big Six team on our show, there's no way I'm backing them.
I'm the only one that has the magic to actually pick shitty teams to cover the spread.
Apparently. Well, I already picked Leicester.
Santa's not bringing you that gift for Christmas.
I'm not trying it twice in one show. I'll tell you that much. So I like Arsenal by 2, by more to win by 2 or more than I like them to only win by 1. And I'm getting plus money by taking the spread at plus 130 minus the 240 for just the victory. So that's what I'm going to do. Arsenal minus 1.5 plus 130.
Well, you and I are going to be boring because that's where I'm going to go the same thing. I definitely think this Arsenal team is so weird, man. Like, I can't tell if they're good. Can't tell if they're okay. 538 has them as a 39% chance to qualify for the Champions League, which is the kind of best of the rest after the top 3. A lot of betting markets have them fifth on points. So, like, I think they're sort of a top 5 or 6 team at this point, even though I had spent the first few podcasts saying that they're probably shitty and we shouldn't get caught up in the hype. But I don't know. There's something weird going on here. A lot of it has coincided with like Gab Martinelli has started to play. But there are definitely like warning signs too. So like your boy Connor, who's kind of out over his skis in front of his expected goal marks and his actual goal totals. All right, Jim Jones, settle down. So one of those things is those things are happening in Arsenal too. So Martin Odegaard is outperforming his XG numbers. Emile Smith-Rowe is one of the biggest outperformers of his XG totals in the top 5 in the big 5 leagues in all of Europe. So that's worrisome. That means that guys are finishing shots, and Odegaard in particular has been scoring a lot of goals lately, and that's like not his shit. Like Odegaard's thing is mostly like advancing the ball like into the attacking third and sometimes into the box. You know, he usually is like a key pass guy, like a pass that unlocks the play that usually leads to the pass that leads to a good shot. And all of a sudden he's scoring goals. It's been, kind of out of the realm of like who he's been as a player. There's definitely like a possibility that he's evolved as a player, and maybe he's going to start adding those things to, what he does. But right now the numbers are saying that he's just running hot on finishing. So I don't know. I think this team might be okay, but maybe not. I do know that Norwich is bad. That is the certainty. And, it's not, I like Dean Smith. He was at Brentford for a while. He had a really weird, defensive recovery phase last year at Villa where they were terrible. And then they came back from the pandemic break. And then all of a sudden they were not allowing goals. He hired a set piece specialist. I think he's open to good ideas in soccer, but even if he has good ideas and even if he might actually maybe somehow be an okay manager, Norwich is just bad. They still rely on Timo Pukki for a huge part of their offense creation. And you're talking about a guy that's 32, he's, played a ton of minutes for the Finnish national team, and he's just not that good anymore. And that's their best attacker. So there's only so much you can do. You can't turn chicken shit into chicken salad kind of thing. So I'm going to ride with Arsenal. They've just been so good lately. Martinelli's been great for him. I think you just got to ride with them.
Yeah. And for my prop, I'm straight up stealing from you. Because I also just don't see where a Norwich goal is going to come from against our unofficial spokesmodel, Aaron Ramsdale.
Oh, we're getting a clean sheet bet from you?
And dare I say, on current form, Arsenal look like a good team. So, as Brett often says, I'm going to count on a good team to do a good thing, and Arsenal to win on a clean sheet at plus 170.
Well, mine's going to be kind of in that vein. I'm going to take a range to Arsenal wins at plus 175. With 1-0, 2-0, and 2-1 being the outcomes. Again, Arsenal are, even if they end up being an above average team, finishing 5th, 6th, maybe even making a run at the Champions League spot, they still play snail ball in their attack. Arteta has them play a very slow pace. This isn't a City team that's going to shoot, they're going to press you, they're going to win the ball back, they're going to shoot again, they're going to pummel you in the box. Arteta's teams play really slow. They pass a lot side to side. So this isn't going to be a game that I think like gets out of hand. And Dean Smith is like organized Norwich enough since he's been there. They're not the sieve defensively that they were under Farka and just like giving up chances galore. So I think that Arsenal is going to win. And if you kind of put a cap then at about 2 goals being their range, then that's a perfect bet. You know, you're getting a lot of leeway at plus 175. So I really like that one for this week.
Yeah, that's a really clever way to do it. I mean, 1-0 or 2-0, both of us win our bets. You lose if Arsenal gets to 3 goals, and I lose if Norwich gets 1. So it's like we're getting the same odds. So if choosing between the 2 bets, it's an interesting conversation. Is Arsenal more likely to get 3, or is Norwich more likely to get 1? I don't know. I might place both of them because I like what you did there quite a bit. All right. So Aston Villa, 10th, 22 points versus a little team called Chelsea, 3rd in the table, 38 points. This is 12:30 on Boxing Day. This is going to be a prime event with a lot of the other games already concluding by the time this kicks off. Aston Villa is plus 475. The draw is plus 270. Chelsea is minus 145. Chelsea at a half a goal on the spread remains at minus 145, and Aston Villa moves up to plus 130 if you want to get them to either win or draw. All right. Just admitting it up front, this is a homer pick. It's Boxing Day. There's no way even the smallest piece of me will be in conflict while I enjoy this game. So while Chelsea have fallen off the pace as the Premier League refused to suspend any of their games, even when they couldn't field a bench, they also outrageously counted Saul as a Premier League player towards the roster minimums, even though there's a mound of evidence to the contrary. But Chelsea started to come through the other side of the injury crisis. Conte, Kova, Jorginho, they're all available for selection in the midfield coming into this weekend. Lukaku and Hudson-Odoi both had negative tests and returned to training. So I think both of them could come on as impact second half substitutes. I don't know whether they'll nick a goal before the subs come on, and because I'm less sure the front line hasn't been gelling at all. And I really love Pooley, but he just hasn't been getting the link-up play with the midfield and with the rest of the front line to get great attacks. And he's had 1 or 2 shots that he arguably should have done better with, but we're just not seeing a barrage of opportunity from that front line right now. But, of course, increased control out of the midfield, better ball advancement out of the engine room has a way of suddenly making attackers look great again. And when you have Conte and Kova and Jorginho instead of Saul back there, I expect there to be a lot more opportunities for the front to shine. Aston Villa has done a great job under Stevie G of keeping it close against the big clubs. I think they probably will do so again, but I think it's Blues 1-0. So I'm taking the Blues to win at minus 145.
Hey, Salu is a fucking legend, man. You keep your name out of his name out of your mouth.
No, he's like an Everton fan. He was Everton's best player in that game.
He really was. He's every team in the Premier League's best player if he's on the pitch right now. But yeah, I mean, Chelsea's interesting. And before we go into my pick, I'm going to hit you with a take that is you are not going to like. And so Ryan O'Hanlon, friend of the pod, wrote a piece for ESPN talking a little bit about this, but it was basically the Lukaku impact. And once he gets healthy, he is going to play, you know, maybe we see him start this game. Maybe he comes on in the second half. Maybe he comes on in the 60th minute. But he is interesting in the way that Tuchel has set up this Chelsea team. So Timo Werner, your favorite finisher, is in the 76th percentile of pressures for attacking players. Mason Mount is in the 88th percentile of pressures in attacking players. Hakeem Ziyech is in the 78th percentile of attacking players. Ram is in the 6th percentile of attacking players and putting pressure on the opposing team when they have the ball. And a lot of what has made Tuchel's era great and why they were so outstanding when he came last year and kind of tailed off a little bit when they're integrating around this year, I think is the fact that a big thing that we have trouble seeing and trouble valuing is that when Ram plays, they lose that pressure from the front. And it's not so much about like even shot suppression with the pressing. Pressing leads to turnovers, which leads to really good chances. So even though Ram is an incredible player and on pure skill is better than a lot of Chelsea, is the best Chelsea attacker, in the system, in the way that they set up, sometimes you can just get better chances just simply by pressing your opponents and getting them to make that wayward back pass, that square pass that
they don't see the defender cutting in and cutting off or tapping away. Those things are important, and they don't get that when Rahm's on the pitch. And I think it kind of jams their gears up because he doesn't bring this like amazing offensive attacking value. It's a really noisy stat, but his expected goal total for Chelsea's expected goal totals per 90 minutes when Rahm is on the pitch, he's the lowest rated Chelsea attacker so far. Again, super noisy. Like a lot of it, the data is so small, the data sets are so small. It's like, when was Rahm on the pitch? Who was they playing? Like compared to when Ziyech and Mount were beating up on fucking Malmo, like, and Rahm is playing Liverpool. Like that's going to factor into those numbers a little bit, but it is a little bit telling. And it kind of leads to the theory that maybe like Rahm isn't going to be this super huge upgrade that takes Chelsea up a notch, that there is going to be a little bit of a tricky fit. And so if he plays this match, I don't think it's going to be this like huge boost. Like, yeah, we got Rahm back from, COVID protocols. Like we're going to fucking start rolling again. And Villa's been pretty good. Like they've been really good defensively, even without having any possession. Stevie G's got them playing this like defensive counterattacking 4-3-3. They were okay. And then away at Norwich, they absolutely blew the doors off them. I think this is going to be a really ugly, muddy match. Chelsea's trying to reintegrate these guys back into the side. Villa's been playing well and they've been playing really defensive, and Chelsea already has kind of had that problem of scoring goals. So that draw at plus 285 is kind of where I stick my money. I definitely think that there's a more than 2-1 chance that this game is going to be a draw, whether it's 0-0 or 1-1. But it's going to be close. It's going to be in that range where you could get lucky. And this is where that COVID luck could come in. And Villa nicks the penalty where they, get the handball in the box, some deflected shot goes in, whatever it is. I definitely think this is going to be a more even game than maybe the numbers suggest.
Yeah, look, I want to keep this podcast under 2 hours, so I'm not going to spend all my time refuting what you just said about Lukaku, because there actually is some truth in it, and Ryan's one of the best writers in the business, and you're not so bad yourself. So I understand the argument. I would say that the recent slip in form from Chelsea hasn't been because of Lukaku's presence. Yeah, it hasn't been his presence or absence. It's been more the presence of Saul and like an uncharacteristic kind of run of giving up late goals and equalizers in games that they should have won. Like Tuchel, when he took us to European glory, like once it was 1-0, you felt like it was over because it was going to be a clean sheet. And like once you had a lead, it felt always secure. And just watching them give up equalizers time after time after time in their recent kind of slump in form is jarring. Now, when I watch that, I'm not sophisticated enough to say that's because Rahm's either not or not playing. It just seems like there's been a switch off in concentration, or there's been inferior players that aren't used to the same level of organization on the pitch. All that said, the reason Rahm, I think, remains I don't know if he's worth his money, but it's not my money. And why I don't like freak out at some of the statistics that you guys throw out is you need different looks. Like you need somebody who can serve as a backboard against a low block, hit a cutter that is running off his shoulder, and nick a goal against a well-organized, really defensive team that's playing so many guys behind the ball. And he does that. How many balls are Reece James whipping across the face of goal and whipping into the air that aren't finding Pooley or Werner because there's that's not their game. And so, like, it's almost like a wasted form of attack to throw these beautiful crosses in time and time again for someone to meet
them. The one thing is, too, actually kind of going off that point, is Rahm gives them, and this is maybe going into the weeds a little bit, but some tactical flexibility, right? Like, in a front three, I'm not sure that Rahm is going to be that great for him. But they also rolled out like a 5-3-2 when they were playing some of the really good teams, so they can jam the midfield with an extra midfielder, put Kovacic, Conte, Jorginho in there. And then Rahm can play as part of a 2 up top, which I think when you were saying like that's a different look, like that's a great look. And that'll be really important. And we'll probably bring it up when we talk about like when they play Liverpool in the return fixture, when they play Manchester City in the return fixture, if we end up getting the Champions League stuff and they get really deep in like a semifinal match. That's really interesting. And I think that's a really good point that you brought up, is like, it's not necessarily like this zero-sum thing, like Rahm makes it better or worse. He's different right now. Yes. And I guess we don't know exactly the best way to utilize it.
Yeah, you talked about player sliders last week on our video. Like you're going to have a different style of play and different outcomes if you have Havertz leading the line versus Timo versus Rom. And I think the ability to be flexible is actually my biggest gripe with Chelsea right now. Like Tommy Tactics is renowned for playing all sorts of different systems and maximizing his edge over his opponents, but he's fallen so hard into the 3-4-3 because it yielded such great results for him that maybe there are occasions that the personnel or the game flow calls for switching it up. And he seems to be sticking with the 3-4-3 no matter what. So he's a genius. He knows, a billion times more than I'll ever know. And I just like to see him use that genius when we're looking a little bit flat to avoid giving up these late goals like we have over and over again. Just try something new. But anyway, I said I wanted to keep it under 2 hours. That was your fault. I'm not the one who elongated the Chelsea talk. So I just wanted on the record that one was on you.
I will take full responsibility. This was not a Homer thing. I was baiting. I will agree. I was baiting.
So for my player prop, or for my prop, I am going to take a player, presuming that he starts. I like Reece James, shot on target, plus 135. The focal point is not going to be through the middle, I think. It's going to continue to be pushed out wide in these games, which gives James tons of chances to put the ball in the frame, either diving in from a position of width, or he's actually excellent at taking a switched ball where the ball's crossed from the other flank, and it kind of comes all the way across the box, and then he gets on it and hits it from the opposite end of the top corner of the box. I've seen him do that time and time again. I think he's also going to take set pieces for them. And I think that increases his odds even more as he loves to go for goals when there's fouls on the outer edge of the box. So I really just like the number here, a plus 135, as they're going to need goals from all over as they try to sort out the center of attack, and he's always looking to provide them.
Yeah, I mean that's a good pick, especially with the way that they've been kind of utilizing their wing backs lately too. But for me, man, I mean, as you probably are sensing in this trend, I like to ride a horse that doesn't buck me. Last week I could have bought a fucking house if I would have put some money on the unders 0.5 goals between Wolves and Chelsea at like plus 800. We're getting another plus 875 under 0.5 goals for the match. I got to hit it again. I definitely think 0-0 is a big part of this range. And I mean, it's such good money. I if you play this game 100 times, I really do think that there's a good chance that at least probably 25, 30 of them end up where it's scoreless draw. And we just went through the whole theory of Villa's been better defensively. I'd love to talk to somebody about this, but I also think that markets have sometimes struggled to catch up super quickly from match to match. And I don't think they've really adjusted to the fact that Villa's been better. Chelsea's been just not great in attack. So I'm going to take that under 0.5 at plus 875. And this time maybe I'll actually bet it and win a lot of money.
Oh my gosh. I wish you had bet last week, although I'm glad you didn't, because you definitely would have told me to F off.
You would have just gotten text messages of just with hundreds just lined up on my table.
Yeah, no, I was going to cover it when we got to the pick off, but like if you had actually bet your picks last week, you might own Burnley now.
The first thing I do is fire Sean Dyche.
All right, so we're running a little bit long, so let's just get through our last game pretty quick. It's not actually on Boxing Day. It's going to be Monday at 3 p.m. It's Newcastle, 19th in the table, 10 points. Man United, 6th in the table, 27 points. Newcastle's plus 600. The draw is plus 350. Manchester United is minus 210. On the spread, a goal and a half to Manchester United is plus 130, and Newcastle is a minus 150. So I expect this to be a fairly nasty affair. Newcastle shown very little evidence they could keep up with any of the big clubs, however, losing by a combined score of 12-1 to the teams that are currently sitting in the top four of the table so far this year. But I got to say, I don't have a lot of confidence in Manchester United's finishing at the moment. And who knows who will be playing? I mean, we haven't seen them since December 11th, and people are disappearing left and right. So I think Newcastle's going to give them a ton of the ball. I trust Manchester United to do something with it at least once. So I'm going to take it at minus 210 to win, but I am not willing to go farther than that and take that spread.
Yeah, I mean, I just have no faith in Newcastle anymore. So for me, the bet is just going to be United minus 1.5. Newcastle's gotten the doors blown off them. And the thing is, and I guess this is the one thing I'll say, so people don't have to listen to us talk for hours and hours over their Christmas. But Eddie Howe was brought in because when he was at Bournemouth, he had this low end of the table team that play this kind of slick possession based kind of style with like quick transitions, and they tried to hold the ball. They weren't playing like Dyche's Burnley where they just packed it in and tried to counter. But the thing is that possession is a double-edged sword, right? So you have to have guys in your team that can hold on to the ball, and then you also have to have guys that can win it back. And I guess you could maybe argue that Newcastle has the former, but they don't have anybody that does the latter. So Joe Willock leads the team in tackles won with 23. For reference point, Christian Norgard from Brentford leads the Big Five all European leagues with 46. So like that's their best ball winner, and he is miles behind the best ball winner in Europe. And that's part of the reason why I just think they're going to struggle continuing throughout the season is you can't play that kind of possession style and jam a bunch of attackers on the pitch if you don't have somebody that can actually win the ball back and then let you control a little bit of the game. So I just think that, with under Rangnick, we're going to see United get better and better. Newcastle just hasn't shown anything. So for me, it's just taking the spread all day long.
All right. For my prop, because I do think it is going to be a bit of a nasty game and Newcastle's a bit of a nasty team, I'm taking them over 2.5 cards at plus 182. I absolutely love the number here. They had 3 against Liverpool. They had 3 against Leicester. They had 3 against Arsenal. The only reason they didn't have 3 against Man City is they couldn't get close enough to grab them or hack them down. So getting them at almost 2-1 to get 3 cards against Man United and all their kind of skill players who like to dance with the ball a little bit and run it, guys, it's almost fishy. But I'm taking the bait and I'm grabbing it.
I mean, John Joe Shelby has matured in a little bit in his older age, but he's always a wild card for something crazy to happen. You might get 2 straight yellows from him pushing guys around just out of him alone.
Exactly. He's matured to 1 yellow instead of a straight red. He's really gotten better with age.
Yeah, I mean, my prop's going to be a little bit different. Again, just going against my lack of faith in Newcastle. I'm going to take the clean sheet win, plus 155. I haven't done it for any other team this week. I guess I kind of have to, considering it's my trademark. And, you showed the, sincerest form of flattery by imitating me. So I'm going to do it on my own, plus 155, clean sheet win for United.